Okay, so welcome to Retech, and today we're going to cover part 2 of how we make this channel, or how to make any retro channel really, and what goes into it. We're going to cover finding a classic computer that I've been kind of looking for a while, how I got it, what steps I took to get it, and so on. And also some potential classic hardware that was originally a Kickstarter, plus also what we need to buy for this channel in general, such as I needed another PC. It didn't have to be a new one, obviously, because it's not going to be used that much, but it has to be a specific PC to run the piece of hardware that I just purchased. And also we're going to cover the other aspects of literally searching, finding, emailing, talking to people, and so on. So I hope you enjoy this channel, and it's nice to show people that it's not just a case of sticking yourself in front of a camera and waffling on for ages, because there's a lot that goes into making these channels. So I hope you enjoy this one, and let's take a look. Okay, so you'll have to forgive the slightly wobbly camera work. It's quite late at night. It's now 11:53, so almost midnight. And I'm having a bit of a hunt around on eBay and other places, because I'm trying to find a specific computer, and you know, at the same time I'm also just checking out little bits on my own channel, because I always like to make sure I haven't made any kind of massive errors. We're not perfect and we will make mistakes, but I'm just kind of going over previous videos just to see how they can be improved. And at the same time, I'm doing a little bit of research on the next machine I would like to kind of do for this channel. So what I'm actually looking for is an Apple computer, a classic one, a vintage one. They kind of get forgotten a lot in the kind of the early microcomputing era, I think, mainly because people don't seem to recognize them as real vintage computers as such, because unless it's one of the early Macintoshes, then they've kind of been left to languish a little bit. So that's my next thing really. I want to do a video on possibly a performer, which is exactly what I'm looking for here, to find out if we can find any. But so far, yeah, there's not a massive amount. There's not a massive amount of these kicking about anywhere either. There is something quite interesting here, but looking at it, it kind of seems incomplete and not very loved. It's going to be another one of those take it apart and fix it jobs, but again, these are sort of things I quite like anyway, but I'm not really looking for something like this at the moment, so I'm going to carry on looking for my performer. But as I say, it's kind of midnight and I'm still kind of plodding along, checking out auction sites, checking out previous videos, and also trying to write and get something going for the next video as well. So it's not a 10-minute job, but it's a bit of fun as well. And you know, eventually I will kind of give up for the evening, because I do need some sleep now and again. But other than that, I'm going to plod on until I find the machine that I'm looking for. Now, I've been looking for quite a while and they don't come up very often. There's the 475, which I'm probably going to be quite interested in. There's also there's lots of classics and classic 2s. I mean, they're quite abundant with the usual problems or leakage, which cause either squares or banding on the screen. Yeah, there are quite a few of the classic ranges. This 2C looks interesting, but you know, you can't £1,000 or more for one of these, and it's from Egypt as well, so I think they're chancing their arm a little bit there. Yeah, there are plenty, just a couple of 2Es in there. They're not badly priced really for something that's actually working. Again, a lot more expensive than they were even 12 months ago. So yeah, it's getting quite difficult to find the actual performer. So I'm going to keep on looking, because I really want to kind of do a video on something that's not really seen that often in vintage and classic programs or vintage and classic computer shows, etc. So just going to keep on looking. So I finally found one. It kind of doesn't work, but he's got two of these machines, so I'm hoping that one of them will actually work, but it's quite a distance away. It's probably a 3 to 4 hour drive depending on traffic, and I think I might have a look at that one. It's not brilliantly priced, but there are only two of these on eBay. Two in the UK, two of these performers, and they're kind of right next to each other in the same town. So yes, the machine I'm after is a fair distance away. We're talking 193 miles or thereabouts, and you know, even with kind of reasonably light traffic, it's going to take about 3 hours, maybe a little bit longer. So we've probably got a 6 to 7 hour round trip without stopping. So that's where I'm going to head off to first thing in the morning, and we're going to pick this machine up. I don't really like having these brittle machines couriered because they do get bounced a bit. And the last performer, which I've actually got a performer, but the case just didn't survive the trip, and I don't want it to happen to this one. So I'm kind of going to be starting off here and then following it all the way up to Harrogate in, well, it's part of Yorkshire basically, so we're going to make a bit of a trip. Okay, so it's early morning and it's quite a nice day, and we're off to get this computer, the one we were talking about a little earlier. It's a bit of a drive, but we're just going to head up that way, pick it up, because I don't really like couriers, and this is all part of what we do on the channel. So we're going to head off. But first we're just going to put it in the sat nav so we can get ourselves on our way, and then we're going to head off up the road. So hopefully it'll be a nice trip, and we'll be able to get this new to me Macintosh sorted out once we get back. So that's the plan. Okay, so we're literally setting off from home, and it's going to be a bit of a drive. I will do the highlights as we go, but you know, it should be fine. It should be a nice little drive, well, nice quite long drive, and we're going to pick this machine up and see how we get on. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some fuel on the way. It was quite a long night last night trying to do a bit of research on this machine, plus trying to also make sure that I found the right one, and luckily I had. And it was, you know, fortuitous really that the person there had only a few minutes to go by the time I actually bid on the machine, and I decided that that was going to be the one for me. And it's quite a nice day. It's a nice day for a drive. I've bunged the aircon on to about sort of 16 degrees because it is quite warm out there, and you can probably hear in the background very quietly the sat nav kind of chuntering on, basically telling me where to go, because you know, basically who uses maps these days? You know, we either use our phone or we use a built-in sat-nav in a car such as this, or you know, a portable sat-nav. You know, I can't really remember the last time that I ever bought a map, to be honest, a proper road map. You can kind of see on the left hand side, you can see kind of some modern office architecture. They're actually just finishing them and landscaping the front. It's very stark against what really is a very green city, and I'm not that happy with. I'm not unhappy with them, but I think it kind of doesn't fit in really, because everywhere you look in this city, it's really green. And outside of this science park, this is part of the Cambridge Science Park area, and it is a huge science park behind these new edifices that you see on the left hand side. And within the park, it is massively green, and it's a bit of a stark contrast. And you know, I'm not a person who doesn't like change. I think it's sometimes when they build these things, as you can see on the left there, everything's very green, and it's all green in the park itself. I'm not really one who's against change, but I think sometimes change for change's sake is not something that, really, it's not something that we should be kind of looking at. I think things should fit into your surroundings. But then again, as I said, anybody who knows Cambridge Science Park, if they have some weird and wonderful buildings on there. Obviously it's a technology park, it's huge, it's kind of the Silicon Fen, or the Silicon Valley of the UK really. Its nickname is Silicon Fen because it was, you know, in the Fenlands of Cambridge, and anybody who knows the history of this area will understand what I'm saying. But it was basically originally an area of, well, marsh, because most of the inland areas of Cambridgeshire, such as the Ely area, where we have a huge cathedral which is nicknamed the Ship of the Fens, well, everything surrounding it was underwater. This whole area was originally underwater. You had kind of clumps, as we'd say, Cambridge City, which was not underwater, but the outlying areas were. Ely itself, where the cathedral is, that was all underwater again. It was all marshlands, and it wasn't until a Dutch gentleman called Vermuyden helped with the technology of draining the area in the same way as it was done in Holland. And that's how, you know, we have the situation in this area where the rivers are higher than the roadways. You will come past places where the riverbank is built up maybe 15 or so or more feet in certain parts of the area, East Anglia, Cambridgeshire, the Fenland, and you're actually below the river level by about 15 feet. It's quite weird when you realise that's actually happening. So we're just going to turn in and grab some diesel now. So we're turning in to grab some fuel behind a stunning Bentley. So at the moment we're kind of doing reasonable speeds, probably about 70-ish miles an hour, and we're just trying to make up a little bit of time. And it's quite nice, it's still very nice out there, and it's really quite a nice drive, to be honest. It's nice to be out and about after a long time of being locked down, and now we can start living again. We can do our normal kind of routine things. Hopefully that's the case. So I'm just gonna got about another 40 miles before I come off of this road anyway, and you know, it's a nice drive. It's still pleasant. It's all green really around the motorways. I suppose that's what you kind of expect. It's England. It's kind of nicknamed a green and pleasant land. Although it's not massively picturesque, but to be honest, I've been on motorways and freeways and various other countries, and they're very different. They're mainly huge, great slabs of concrete and steel, and there's not a massive amount of greenery around them in a lot of countries, so it's nice to have that kind of option really. So on a relatively new section of the road, and it was built as a bypass because the original motorway stretch that was here was an absolute nightmare, and because the volume of traffic alone was far too much for it. And this is the slip road onto the new section of road, but you know, they've done quite nice. It's a nice smooth road. It makes driving quite pleasurable, especially if you're going doing a little bit of distance. And we're just going to follow the road and see where it leads to. Now, like most places in the world now, it's there are a lot of speed cameras. A lot of ways you can actually get fined for exceeding the speed limit. So, you know, again, this is where modern technology comes in. It's been around for a long time, I know that, but adaptive cruise control and cruise control has got much, much better in the last sort of decade or so. And the fact that you can just sit back and enjoy the ride kind of thing, but you know, not worrying about accelerating all the time or keeping up a constant speed, or whether you're wandering across lanes and all that kind of thing. It's you know, that's kind of what modern technology has brought us, and it has all stemmed from the technology gold rush of the late 70s and mainly the early 80s. And if you think of how things have come on, whether it's haulage, because all of those trucks are now vastly computer controlled. There's no gear changing. They're all fully automatic. They all have cruise control, adaptive, basically everything, lane departure. You know, they're just like a modern computer really. Some old 1980s tunes playing on the radio. It's quite apt really for the day. But yeah, the Performer, the reason why I decided to get one a long time ago, but unfortunately the case was it didn't survive the journey. It was far too brittle. Is because we don't see them as majorly as classic items anymore. I mean, they are getting on a bit, and with them getting on a bit as well, it's quite easy for us to kind of just put them to one side as an old machine, a piece of junk, something that's past its best. And it's one of those things we really need to think about, that even these machines are getting past their best now, to be honest, and it's time that they got the same attention or very similar attention to the classic 8-bit machines. I mean, in the PC world itself, we're kind of starting to revere the 8086, the 286s, 3s and 486s, and even the early Pentium machines really are getting sought after now. And you think that only a couple of years ago, these old machines were kind of thrown away. away, scavenge for parts. You know, it's kind of all of that stuff that's happened in the past, which has made these things fairly valuable. I don't know about you, but the world over, taxi drivers, like that cab driver there, not a clue. They all kind of wander around the lanes, get into the wrong lanes, kind of change lanes without any indication. Another thing you might start noticing is that the cars today are covered in a very fine dust. We've had a bit of a, it might sound weird to people in certain parts of the world. There's been a bit of a sandstorm in part of the desert areas like the Sahara, etc., and it's actually travelled. The sand we were actually seeing on the cars have literally travelled basically right across the world, to be honest, and it's landed and decided to settle on your nice shiny car, which, when you think about it, is quite bizarre. It hasn't necessarily picked out your car, but sometimes it feels like it. And that's what it's done. It's just travelled thousands of miles in the atmosphere and then dropped on your car. Yeah, we're pulling into a supermarket. Mainly because I've forgotten this guy we're buying the machine off wants cash. He prefers cash. I think it's to avoid some of the extortionate eBay fees. And I actually don't blame him, because they can actually run up your bill quite a lot. And it actually looks like I'm probably not the only one who wants a little bit of play money, because most people nowadays, they don't actually carry cash. People don't carry cash anymore. I mean, I use my phone for just about everything. Continuing our journey, but it's not on the dullest motorways, even though motorways and you know, our highways are very fast and they get you there very, very quick. It's nice sometimes to be out in the smaller roads, because you kind of see a bit more as well, and you get more of an idea of the countryside, the vast countryside really that surrounds our towns and cities. And if you live in a city or a big town most of the time, you don't really notice it, because it's kind of on your periphery. It's not something that, you know, you're in all the time. And it's also nice to do a little bit of speed down these roads as well, and just enjoy the twists and turns. So we're coming through one of the kind of quintessential British or English villages, rather. You know, Wales has their own quintessential villages, so does Scotland, so does Northern Ireland, but this is a very English village. a change from the drudgery of speed camera motorways and highways. You adhere to the limits when you're going through town, small villages, and country roads, they're quite fine to do a little bit of pace on. Okay, so I'm on my way back now. Still quite a nice day. It's not too bad. Nice and warm still, which is nice. It's still hovering around kind of the 20-degree mark. 20 degrees centigrade or Celsius, not Fahrenheit, so it is quite nice. It hasn't been too bad a trip. We're back on the new 14 towards Cambridge now, and I've got the machine in the back of the car. It's alright, it's in reasonable condition. We'll have a look at it when I kind of do the video on this machine, but it's so far I'm quite happy with it. The person I bought it off was kind of on the same level, a bit of an enthusiast, also like bikes and cars and all the other stuff that I generally like, so we spent probably 2 hours or so having a chat about anything, and it was quite good. And we've got a Tesla coming up alongside us. They're quite small. They're a small car. I was actually surprised at how compact they are. They're kind of no bigger. There's plenty of them around, but they're actually no bigger than an average family saloon or sedan in European model. They're not big by any means. I do like the gloss black finish, because this car's got a metallic black. It's very nice in the sun when it you pick out different flakes in the paint. But I've always had a thing for gloss black cars, and European cars, European manufacturers, and I'm not sure if it's the same. There aren't many gloss black, apart from the odd VW like this one that's coming past here, and you can see the difference in size. You have a Tesla on the left and a Passat on the right, and the Passat dwarfs the Tesla, so it kind of seems like European cars are generally as big. Oh, he's an idiot though, he didn't even look in his mirrors. Makes no difference what car you drive. If you got an idiot behind the wheel, then you're still an idiot. I was saying, the European cars, they're no different. I mean, it doesn't matter what cars you have all around the world, there's a standard platform which is worldwide, really. But it's always struck me how small the Teslas really are. But they're nice look. They're all right looking. I think they look better with a registration or a number plate on the front, because they're a bit bland. They're a bit, well, there's no redeeming features on the front of the car, because you obviously being battery, you've lost the grille, and the grille was a feature of most cars, and so that's kind of made them a bit bland on the front. When you put a number plate under the bonnet line or the hood line, it kind of breaks up the front end a bit more, and it kind of looks a bit more cohesive, well, to my mind anyway. Another Model S just gone down there, a white one. They're everywhere now. They're a popular car in the UK, and they're especially popular around Cambridge. You know, they're like, to be honest, I think there's actually more Teslas in Cambridge than there is Mondeos. Mondeos seem to be a bit more of an exclusive car, Ford Mondeo, than a BMW or a Mercedes, which there are hundreds of thousands of actually in Cambridge City. There are, same with BMW, same with Audi, same with VW. Their exclusive cars tend to be the ones that maybe a decade ago weren't as exclusive from Ford Mondeos. And there we go. That's probably the first Ford Mondeo I've seen on this trip, on the right hand side. The burgundy kind of red there. It's funny how things change. You know, really, to be in all honesty, Mercedes aren't exclusive, especially in the UK anymore. They're kind of like belly button cars. You know, almost everyone's got one, and you know, they're no longer the kind of prestige exclusive car. They're still kind of prestige, especially with the prices they charge. But when you see the majority of taxi cabs in this area being kind of Mercedes-Benz, kind of dilutes it really dilutes the kind of exclusivity. And we've just passed a Mercedes truck there, and it doesn't have mirrors, it has cameras on the side of it, which is quite novel. So gone are the big panes of glass. We still have the odd minimised travel warning signs saying, you know, basically don't travel unless it's necessary. But as the UK's kind of eased its lockdown anyway, and people can start meeting up again and do a little bit more normal things, it's nice for people to be able to get out and about and to kind of plan their lives a little bit more, which is, you know, amazingly nice. You see, kind of the most popular cars really now are SUVs, that kind of cars, you know, utility vehicles, MPVs, people carriers, crossovers. Kind of gone are the days of the saloon car, the big kind of sedan or saloon. People seem to have migrated towards taller, bigger, wider, heavier cars. Now I don't know how that's going to translate to the electric cars that are on the market now and out there, or the hybrid cars, because you have to go back to the kind of doctrine of the 1980s where everything was lighter, leaner. Everything was faster because of it, or for smaller engines, for less power output, for better economy. You see, you have the mid-sized Tesla there and the mid-sized Mercedes. They're roughly on par with each other. They're not big cars anymore. Then you have the likes of the Audi there, the Audi A5, which kind of dwarfs the size of the Tesla electric car. physically possible, because the batteries take up most of the weight of the car, and when you're transporting heavy batteries around that don't get lighter as the power is used, so as the batteries deplete, the car stays roughly the same weight. You're talking very insignificant changes, because as discovered, even an SD card gets heavier when it's full, but you wouldn't, imperceptibly slow. So this is our hoard collecting over the last week for this channel. We have an Oculus Rift headset with a Firewire card, the Xbox controller that goes along with it, obviously the sensor, and you can see in the background I'm starting to kind of play with it just to get a feel for it. This little Dell PC here, the Optiplex, which is going to basically run the Rift with an extended graphics card in there. Just about fits. Again, collected for this. We have a Vostro. That's going to be used for something else, and again it's an i7, and it's it's quite a nice little machine, but so it's going to be used for other stuff, and I've got a few more plans for that as we go along. And then we have the Apple Mac Performer, a 2 terabyte hard drive, the keyboard, the mouse to go with it, and also the Oculus box it came with all of the bits and pieces. So this is kind of what we do for this channel, and a Terry's chocolate orange in case I get hungry, and a desk full of kit. And this is going to be one of the projects we're going to be doing on this channel in the future. And again, the obligatory tube of super glue for anything that's broken, any plastics, anything else. So hopefully we're going to get this running, the Firewire card in one of the machines to help with editing, etc., and video work. And then that's the plan. So this has been a week of kicking about, really, making sure we've got enough stuff for content for the channel as we go on. Yeah, it's still ongoing, and we're still doing bits for future videos, and you see we've just got a quick email, and well, not so quick, about a future video that I would be kind of wanting to do. And this is the sort of thing that goes on all the time, and it's great that I get responses in the way I do, and it's fantastic that these people would like to have a video made about them or be involved with a video about them. And obviously on this one I've kind of hidden the person it's going to, but you get an idea of how much we actually, or how much I actually put into making these videos, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And as I said before, it's not really it's not to make money, it's to kind of get the people who are interested in this scene together as well, and also people who want to know the history of these machines, to have a reference point from the point of view of people who were actually there at the time. So I hope you enjoyed this second part of making this channel, and it also goes into making other channels, the kind of research you have to go into it, and the stuff you need to do. And it's good fun. It takes up a lot of time, but it's also very, very good fun. But at the end of the day, I think if you kind of look at doing one of these channels and you want to sit and make money out of them for whatever reason, then that's not the best motivation. The best motivation is to do it because you enjoy it, do it because you want to put back into the community what you learned when you were growing up, when you were a child, when you started your career, when you were interested in things that weren't quite the norm at the time, and that's what this is all about. So I hope you enjoyed this, and please subscribe, and it'll be more on the classic computers going forward. And I hope you enjoyed this little foray into how this channel developed, what goes into making it, and basically what direction you guys point me in. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Please subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.